strikes a new low as Meghan Markle celebrates her own birthday, because that's Meghan. She's 45, apparently, allegedly. And we've had a crushingly embarrassing video filmed by Prince Harry, because, of course, he's got no other job, with the couple still trying to convince the world that they are blissfully happy. Now, if you are of a sensitive nature or prone to nausea, look away now.
Oh, dear.
Well, for once, I agree with Prince Harry. Oh, dear, indeed. Or should I say, oh, dear, my love. Now, it's fake, it's indulgent, and no one is buying the Happy Marriage Act. So with their finances and their legal worries, what is the true state of the marriage? Who better to ask than the very well-connected Queen of US royal reporting, Kinsey Schofield, the star, of course, of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Hi, Kinsey.
Mark, somebody said to me, if they were that loaded, why haven't they upgraded their kitchen? And I said, well, clearly they've spent all their money on flowers and balloons.
Oh, well, listen, that house, by the way, they cannot afford it. And I interviewed Kelvin Mackenzie 2 weeks ago on this show, one of the most powerful men in British journalism, a kind of tabloid version of Paul Dacre from the Daily Mail. He edited the Sun newspaper for over a decade in the 1980s, of course, reported a lot on Charles and Diana. And he said that he's hearing that they can't afford that house and they will likely have to sell, which would be a huge come down for Meghan. Because the reason why they've got that big house in Montecito is not Harry, is it? It's Meg's keeping up with the Joneses, demonstrating her showbiz currency. It's the same reason why they've got the house in Portugal. It's all for show.
And here's what they'll do, because we haven't had one in quite some time, but the Santa Barbara Police Department will occasionally tell us how many calls were made to their house and about what. You know, they'll call because people are lurking around, and they'll send sheriff's deputies out there. And I think that they would, if they have to downsize, they would use those statistics and say, it's a safety issue. It's a safety concern. We're drawing too much attention to ourselves here, and try to avoid having to admit defeat financially.
Most definitely. I do think that house is on borrowed time. I say that with no pleasure at all. I'm very sad that they are facing so much financial privation. But what I would say, Kinsey, to Harry is stop suing people, because you always lose.
Exactly. Well, when you played that video of Meghan, I thought during the rugby podcast, when they asked him his professional title, he should have just been like Instagram boyfriend. Instagram boyfriend. Because when he's not following Meghan around, taking bizarre photos of her or video of her, we want our privacy. He is suing people. That's literally all he does.
Yep, and he always loses. So, Kinsey, let's talk about that video. Meghan's 45th, allegedly. I mean, the Mark Dolan show is the home of facts. And there's a huge conversation to be had about Meghan's age. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt and let's claim that she's 45. We wish her many happy returns, of course. But how many people celebrate their own birthday with their own balloons on their own Instagram, like happy birthday me?
And the caption is the funniest, like, thank you for all the birthday wishes. Your comments are off. Who are you talking to? I mean, I actually predicted that. Page 6 said, how do you think Meghan Markle will spend her birthday? And I said one of two things, although I added a third. I said, and the third was true too. I said one of two things. She will either be conveniently papped at dinner, going to Lucky's, the steakhouse they like in Montecito, or the Italian place, Treloon. I can't remember the name of the Italian place they like in Montecito. I said she'll conveniently be papped going to dinner with her husband and maybe some D-list friends. I said, or she will wish herself a happy birthday on Instagram. Or I said, I added later, as ever, will wish her an ooey gooey birthday on Instagram. And Meghan has made it such a point to show us how involved she is, showing us the images of her taking the photos herself for the as ever Instagram, that you realize it's self-congratulatory. It's Meghan sending herself a Hallmark card. So we got both of that. We got Meghan wishing herself a happy birthday on as ever, and we got Meghan in that very bizarre picture of her, two very bizarre pictures of her without children, jumping in her pool, holding balloons. Again, this is a allegedly 45-year-old woman. And you think, you know, how old are you really? I mean, it came off as very immature.
Well, I'm really nervous about the factual side of this conversation and Meghan's age, because I'm worried that if I say on the air that she's 45, I may get a YouTube strike.
Oh, well, I think that
I'm playing with fire.
You are playing with fire, but that's why we like you, because you're a dangerous man.
Now, listen, we're joking. Meghan is 45. Where does this speculation come from about her age?
Well, I think it's because there were questions surrounding a headshot that circulated a while ago from Los Angeles. And the problem with Meghan is she tells so many different versions about her past that when she says, I was this age when the Rodney King riots were happening, I was this age when I wrote to Procter and Gamble, when people do the math, because she tells so many different versions, it sometimes just simply doesn't add up. And so, again, I would say the questions surrounding her age revolve around Meghan's interesting relationship with the truth.
Well, definitely. I mean, it is the official position of the Mark Dolan Show and Kinsey Schofield Inc., which is a media empire that will soon rival that of Oprah Winfrey. It is the official position of both of those media brands that Meghan Markle is 45 years of age. But this is what happens, Kinsey, when you are economical with the truth about your life, when you claim to have grown up on the mean streets of Los Angeles and basically living the equivalent of a trailer park existence. Meanwhile, the truth is that your father was an Emmy award-winning lighting director in Hollywood and you attended private school. When you
and the Emmy Awards, like you walked the Emmys carpet for your dad.
Oh, well, there you go. That's another one, of course. Yeah. Then we have the fact that she didn't once mention the issue, according to her father, Thomas Markle Sr., of any kind of racial prejudice growing up. But then later in life, in her 20s, when it gets a few brownie points and, I don't know, makes you a protected characteristic, then suddenly, oh yeah, it was basically just Mississippi. What was it? Mississippi burning for the entirety of my childhood. So the problem you've got is that if you're less than honest, people are going to question everything, and the credibility just isn't there. So what do you think is the story behind this latest video? Because my interpretation is that it's part of a campaign to convince the world that the marriage is still strong.
Yes, I agree with you there that she is constantly trying to remind us how in love that man is with her, because she never tells us she loves him. It's always that man loves me so much. But I also just think Meghan likes attention. I mean, sometimes it's just as lazy as that. What can I post to get attention? Because Meghan posts a video like that, and then I open up the Daily Mail, and there is a forensic examination of the kitchen, from the tiles on the wall to where you can get Meghan Markle's Etsy shirt and Target tiara. And I think she just loves that kind of attention. I mean, I don't know why it's never occurred to me to post a video like that on my birthday. I might post a couple of days later, thank you for the text messages or something, and that's literally because I might not be in a position because of the way that our jobs work. You and I both work in like 3 different countries every day. But for Meghan to be like, thank you everyone for the well wishes, and this is a woman that's shut everything off, it's hard to digest that. Also, The Suits cast are like, we don't have her new number. And you're like, who are all these people you're accepting birthday wishes from if you've cut yourself off from not only your family members and your work family, your former work family, these people that you spent 7 years or 8 years on the set of Suits with, but your Instagram comments are off too. Who are all these people that are reaching out to you, Meghan?
Although has something perverse started to happen, Kinsey, given the fact that Meghan's dream of having a retail empire has gone up in smoke with Ted Sarandos tearing up that commercial agreement for the spread and the flower sprinkles. My husband! With the Netflix deal now just being nominal, a first look deal, nothing's being commissioned. Is Harry suddenly a bit more important again to Meghan? Because we've said in the past, and I'll say it again, that she's pathologically transactional. If you're of no use to Meghan, good luck. Thomas Markle Sr., Trevor Engelson, Piers Morgan, I could go on. But if you are useful, you're the center of her world. Is Harry, has he bought himself a stay of execution, given the fact that Meghan's personal projects are not playing out and he's back in the royal fold?
Hilarious. That's a very good observation. I think that could.
I got it from the internet. I got it from ChatGPT.
Well, I was just thinking, I actually stole, but I gave you credit, so I shouldn't say I stole.
I haven't had an original thought since 1993.
Oh, the year I was born. Just kidding. I said yesterday.
No, you're 60, like Meghan. You just had a lot of work done.
Exactly. I said yesterday that Mark Dolan says, and I agree with him, that she's completely transactional. So I did credit you for that yesterday. It just occurred to me too that I did a story with Page Six that I saw blowing up in my Google alerts. You see how everybody starts pulling the story and it becomes a bigger monster than just one interview. Yeah. And I said, I tried to just be very transparent and say, look, no, the royal family will not wish her a happy birthday because she's not a working member of the royal family. And protocol indicates that they only wish working members of the royal family or their children a happy birthday. Otherwise, they're ignored. It's nothing personal. That's just protocol. I also said that King Charles might have an employee wish her a happy birthday through a card or through a gift. But, he actually likes to use that day to remember his grandmother, who unfortunately shares that birthday with Meghan Markle. And so that story blew up about the royal family's snub to Meghan. So would she try to distract from a headline she didn't like, which is being rejected again? You talk about Meghan Markle and race. This, in my opinion, all goes back to her insecurities. She said to her dad, they asked me to check a box at school, white or black. And he said to her, add your own box. Like, I feel like all of Meghan's problems boil down to her own insecurities, her own paranoia. Even the royal racist saga, I believe, is Meghan's insecurities, Meghan's paranoia, an unfortunate game of telephone that she misinterpreted. And I think in this case, we could be seeing her trying to distract from those snubbed headlines that she absolutely loathes. She doesn't want to feel rejected. She doesn't want to be the outsider.
No, because she needs to present an image to the world of a powerful, well-connected woman with currency. Yeah.
Duchess. Yeah.
That's why she clings on to that title. Now, it's my understanding that she was miserable in the royal family as a frontline serving royal because she found out pretty quickly that it's very boring opening hospital wings and receiving bouquets of flowers from tiny little children. She's not interested in that. But the bottom line is that now it's about preserving that self-image. I think that's why they've got the house they can't afford. I think that's why they've got the lifestyle they can't afford. I think that's why Meghan is pushing Harry to get back into the royal fold, because Meghan is all about the optics. It's about how things seem and look. It's not about the substance.
100%. It is... perception is reality. So
right.
And I think this has been her motto from day one while auditioning for those Shakira music videos, fake it till you make it. So if she has to dance around her kitchen in a tiara from Target, to remind you that she's connected to the royal family with Harry's voice in the background, then she'll do it, even if she isn't having the best birthday ever at 45.
And of course we have, sorry, go on. I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh, no, I finished my thought. You're good.
Well, look, here's the thing. Because, by the way, interrupt Kinsey Schofield at your peril. Because that is like seizing a paintbrush from Pablo Picasso whilst he's in the middle of one of those. That is like slamming the piano lid on the hands of Elton John. To interrupt Kinsey Schofield is a mortal mistake. But I want to say that it's very interesting, the dynamic between Harry and Meghan. It's always been about power, hasn't it? And Harry had it when they met because he was the young prince and he held all the cards. She was an unknown US TV actress, but she gets in his ear. She gestates the whole Megxit idea in his head. And in 2020, out they go. And it seemed that Meghan held the cards for a long time, especially as the Netflix deal spilled out into the As Ever show and then the Jam. And it was all about Meghan. But it just feels like that's slipped away now. And it's all about Harry.
Well, I think that transition happens once Archie's born. Because she's given the royal family and she's given Harry the son that he so desperately wanted. And now it's not just about, in Harry's mind, protecting Meghan. It's about protecting their son, Archie. And so that's when that's when the I think, control or the power shifts. I mean, maybe it even happens before Archie's born, because it surprised me how secretive and dishonest they were throughout the birth of Archie, announcing that he was born after they were already home from the hospital, refusing to do the Lindo wing, photo call. I think that is kind of where the dynamic shifts, and Meghan becomes the boss and the one in control. But at the same time, I tell you that we know that they were talking to Oprah Winfrey 6 months before the wedding about the sit-down interview Meghan wanted. Meghan was angry with the palace that she had to do her engagement interview with the BBC when she wanted to do it with Oprah Winfrey. So, she's always had influence, but Harry definitely was the more powerful one, I should say. And now I would argue that he's not the more powerful one still, because he's come off as such a loser after this Daily Mail trial. And just wait until Sanabale goes to court. I would bet you $1,000 that Harry is desperately trying to settle this behind the scenes, because he doesn't want to have to he does not want text messages between him and Meghan Markle about Dr. Sophie Shandaka to go to court or through discovery. He doesn't want WhatsApp messages between him and Netflix about the chaos that moving the polo event to another venue is causing, so that they can document it for Netflix, and how it's devastating the charity financially, and how they're having to make all of these changes so that Harry can be on Netflix, commercialize this charity event. They don't want to see, Harry doesn't want that stuff released to the public. In fact, I had somebody suggest to me, which would be totally unethical, that he could go clear out all of these messages and claim that it's something he does regularly just as a public figure. And that would be so immoral, but I wouldn't put it past him after such a huge, embarrassing loss with the Daily Mail case. Harry right now, to me, comes off as a weak person, but it's all Meghan has. It's all she has.
Right. So it's desperate stakes. Well, I totally agree with you. And I think that notwithstanding losing that legal action against the publishers of the Daily Mail, possibly being on the hook for 10, 15, $20 million, and the Sanabale case looming, yes, his brand is a disaster. The speaking engagements have disappeared. There's no broadcast deal. No one will touch Harry with a barge pole. But of course, he drinks from the eternal royal fountain. He will always be the son of the King of the United Kingdom. So it's an unlimited resource that he has, which Meghan doesn't have. Meghan is like you and I. She's a hustler. She's making a living. She's a survivor. Whereas Harry is born to it. So that's an incredible thing, which suddenly makes me think, oh my God, maybe they never will divorce because maybe Meghan will always need Harry. I mean, it's been the assumption of the Mark Dolan show, the working assumption, that they will eventually divorce. This is the first show in the world to have put Harry and Meghan on 24/7 divorce watch. And I employ a team of journalists to just study the couple day and night for evidence that it's all falling apart. But you do wonder, I mean, the nightmare scenario, lovely Kinsey, the nightmare scenario is they never divorce. Yikes!
I mean, I don't think that they would divorce before their children were.
But what if they stay together forever? I mean, what am I going to do? What are you going to do? I can't have 40 years of this.
If they stay together forever, it's plenty of content for us because they don't, and back to Meghan's birthday photo, they don't seem to be growing up. They don't seem to be learning any valuable lessons.
It's a life sentence. I want to get out there. I want to walk, go for a walk in the fields. I want to smell nature.
You want to smell the roses.
Yes. If you're telling me that they might be together forever, that's my life over.
That's what you're telling me. I'm still under the impression that she's never happy. She always wants more. And eventually, somebody will come along that makes her feel like he can give her more because it's always a man. It's always a man that she uses to try to elevate herself, whether it's Thomas Markle, whether it was Trevor. It's always a man. And so I'm thinking somebody might come along that she meets at a charity event or something, something high profile, a political fundraiser, and he makes her feel like he can give her a life that Prince Harry can't. Because at the end of the day, Harry can't match her in ambition. He does wake up every day, the king's son, and has to leak something to the media about wanting to invite the king to Invictus to try to soften his public image. But he doesn't work for it. And I don't think that she admires that. And don't you want to admire your husband's hard work and his work ethic and his creativity and his ambition?
No, she's a striver, and she's a grifter, but she's a trier as well. She has chutzpah. He doesn't. And of course, that's the great paradox of these aristocrats, born to great wealth and privilege, and they do nothing with it. So just looking at that, I mean, I'm joking that they will divorce. There's no way, because it's such a dysfunctional union, because they're very different people and they want different things. And in my humble opinion, Meghan isn't really even real. She's AI. She's a hologram. She's a projection on the wall of a human being. I know that seems very unkind, but it ties in with what we were saying earlier about how optics and image are everything. Meghan is a reality show and poor old Harry is like a bit part player. But just focusing on the marriage and the status of it, I think what you could say in terms of the power dynamic, and I agree with you, Harry is a serial loser at the moment. Daily Mail, Centre Barley, Invictus is losing sponsors. The whole thing is a disaster, but he's got those royal credentials, and Meghan is struggling. If Meghan was making 3 series a year for Netflix, like she's become the new Oprah, she's got a talk show, there's a movie in the offing, she's, co-opting book rights for successful movies. The podcast is #1 in the charts, Meghan, the podcast. If she was flying high, having lunch with Steven Spielberg, Harry would be gone. I mean, if Meghan was rich and successful enough, he's toast. But it ain't going to happen because Meghan is not talented.
And Meghan doesn't listen to the people around her. I mean, more so at the beginning of Megxit, when they initially landed in the United States and in LA, they were surrounded by some of the most brilliant minds in Hollywood that saw this as a huge opportunity because they knew people like Netflix and Spotify were going to throw millions of dollars at the Sussexes. So they left their very legitimate jobs and went to work for Archewell. None of those people work there anymore. And now, thanks to the Hollywood Reporter and that scathing Vanity Fair piece, American Hustlers, I believe it was called, I do think that they have created, even in the States, not just in Kensington Palace, but developed a reputation for being difficult to work with and to collaborate with. But I think not only does Meghan not have her finger on the pulse, which we saw with Love Meghan, which we see through her social media. She doesn't know what's hip and fun and cool anymore. I mean, the baby mama video where she's twerking, pregnant, she releases years after that was trending, to the point where it just looked vile and vulgar and undignified for somebody that wants to be referred to as a duchess. You know, she missed the mark on that one. But she refuses to listen to the people that are qualified to tell her what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. I mean, Carly Fortune has had a moment recently. Amazon Video went and bought the rights to one of her other books about Every Summer After, I think is what it was called. Amazon's, like, within the last 3 or 4 years that they mentioned buying the rights to Meet Me at the Lake, like, Amazon has bought the rights to that book. They've already executed that season 1. It's up and streaming right now, and they just announced season 2 of that Carly Fortune series based on a book. And where the hell is Meet Me at the Lake? It's rotting on Meghan and Harry's desk right now. It's just rotting.
Well, they've killed so many careers. Everything they touch turns to complete mud, doesn't it? Going back to the marriage power dynamic, notwithstanding my view that Harry has this currency being royal, which suddenly Meghan needs a piece of, it is true that he's still the help. Because for this birthday celebration, Harry is the cheerleader and he's the guy shooting the video. So he remains the spare in that marriage, doesn't he?
He does. And how awkward is it for her to shove her phone in his hand and say, get this?
Yeah.
I'm going to dance around the kitchen. Look at how quirky I am. Look at how fun I am. Look at how free I am. I'm not the bully. I'm not what the Hollywood Reporter said I am. I'm not what Vanity Fair said I am. I'm not what Kensington Palace said I am. Look at how free and fun I am. I'm going to jump in a freaking pool with balloons. You know, it's like, you know, to your point, she's constantly trying to shove her narrative down our throat about who she is. But there's such a lack of authenticity that we refuse to buy it. We believe, and I still believe, that the real Meghan Markle, because we've seen so many different versions over the last 6 years, and God knows how many Prince Harry has seen behind closed doors. The real Meghan Markle is the woman sitting across from Oprah Winfrey, raging over the British royal family. That bitter, vengeful, angry woman, in my opinion, is who Meghan Markle truly is. And we work in the entertainment business. What a huge mistake for those two, because first impressions matter. And it was the first time that Harry and Meghan were sitting down, trying to introduce themselves to the world, tell the world who they were in front of millions of people. We know Prince Philip is dying in a hospital, and there are Harry and Meghan raging against this 1,000-year-old institution that gave them the platform they had. And slowly we find out that they're lying about certain things, that we got married 3 days before, And so not only did it ruin their credibility, but it introduced them to the world. And ever since then, we've had a hard time believing that Meghan Markle is dancing in the kitchen Meghan Markle, because she did the same thing with Love Meghan. She wanted to play and dance around in the kitchen, and she's like, look at who I truly am. No, you're that hormonal crazy lady sitting across from Oprah Winfrey, and you did this to yourself. You should have known better.
And they're very chaotic. We know that Harry's chaotic. For example, he sued the Daily Mail in anger, which is a big mistake. Then he issued a very ill-judged statement, a response to the verdict, calling it a complete whitewash, questioning the credibility and integrity of not just the Royal Courts of Justice headed by his father, but the integrity of the judge, the same guy, Mr. Justice Nicklin, who'll decide how much money Harry has to pay on legal fees. So the guy is very ill-judged. But the other big thing about the couple is they're very angry people. Mm-hmm. Harry is such an angry man. In a minute, we're going to get to their furious, wild attack on Elon Musk. But I think we should talk about another furious and wild attack on the part of the Sussexes towards me. Because I have been in the firing line this week. Harry and Meghan have signed off a statement from their spokesperson, which, by the way, is Harry, because, I mean, they've got no staff now. They're so broke. Harry's got no job. He can write the statement. But they described my perfectly sensible speculation that in the future, this rival royal court in Montecito will cause problems for the next generation. And the Sussexes decide to lash out at me, calling my perfectly sensible journalism, in fact, elite level journalism, calling it, well, they said they were disgusted by it. These people are seriously angry.
I mean, I had this conversation with my mom, who, you know, is the president of the Mark Dolan fan club. And she said, as I read her what you said, my mom goes, that's absolutely right. That is absolutely right. That Harry and Meghan's children aren't growing up with the understanding of protocol. They're growing up. They're going to be like these Beverly Hills kids, you know, that run the streets. I mean, Northwest.
Well, no, see, I mean, here's the thing. And I would, like, I really don't want to interrupt you, but I've always said on my show, I'm not going to attack Archie and Lily because I'm sure
we're not attacking them, but the reality is it's a totally different environment. And I do use Northwest as an example because, you know, Northwest is pursuing the entertainment industry. You cannot tell me that Lily won't pursue the entertainment industry. I'm sorry. I'm just, that's my prediction. I'm not attacking them, but they're going to be Nepo babies growing up in Nepo baby Central, Hollywood, competing with other Nepo babies. The Prince and Princess of Wales, they're sending their child to Eton, where he's, you know, he is being groomed to be a leader with other leaders around George. Prince George will be prime ministers of your country, will be, you know, important dignitaries that are going to change the landscape of the United Kingdom. They're going to behave differently than the Hollywood kids that Archie and Lily are going to grow up around.
Right. I think the big focus is when they're 18, because I said when they're teenagers, and I went into further detail. I said teenagers, and then I said young adults. So I had the word adult in there. And I just think, yeah, you know, when they're 14, 15, whatever, they're still just kids. But when they are adults, I think that this doesn't end well because, like you said, they won't have been brought up with royal protocol, but they'll be 18 years of age. And they will be Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. Now, you know what a bad idea it is giving money to Nepo babies. You know what a bad idea it is giving drugs to Nepo babies. Imagine giving them royal titles. Yikes.
Exactly. And if they are the most well-behaved children in the world, they grow up to be perfectly acceptable young adults. Like that's best case scenario. And good luck with a mother like Meghan Markle, you know, no wire hangers. If they are best case scenario, I still think that your point is valid, that if Prince Louis shows up to open up a hospital on Friday and Archie shows up in Malibu for a photo op at a fire department,
right? Now
that you still have a distraction in the United States.
It's a rival royal court, and that rival royal court in Montecito doesn't have any guardrails whatsoever, Kinsey.
Can I ask you, like, sorry to hijack your show, but I was sent an email yesterday that blew my mind. And it was Simon Vigor, who you're probably more familiar with. I'm not familiar with the man, but I guess he's a royal correspondent for Channel 5. Believes that Prince Harry's idea of a hybrid or half in, half out role may have been right all along and could be inevitable as we see Harry reconcile with his family and continue to visit the UK to support his causes. I was asked to reply to that. As I had a mentee be. I was like, you're out of, like, Australia is my number one example for why that can't happen. Yeah. But those Harry wants these kinds of conversations to continue. And you just, hit the nail on the head. Harry and Meghan are not responsible enough, are not respectful enough of tradition, of the protocol, to have a hybrid royal family or half in, half out, let alone teach their children how to appropriately navigate the future with these titles that they should not have because they're American children.
And it gets worse, Kinsey, and I'm very glad that you read that email from this journalist who sounds like he's been infected by the Meghan mind virus, as many establishment journalists have. Luckily, you and I have full immunity. My husband! And the Meghan mind virus is when you think she's the most amazing leader, entrepreneur, homemaker, and wife. Good luck with that. But I'm glad that you read that out, because I think it's really puts into sharp focus what is going to happen and how it's going to play out. And you've got to be afraid, be very afraid, Kinsey, because at the moment, you've got two positives, which are serving as a limiting factor on Harry and Meghan and their behavior. The one positive is that they're not broke yet. Okay. I don't know how this is going to play out with the Daily Mail. Harry will be hoping to fudge it, and maybe it's a check for $5, $6, $7 million. That's the dream. So they'll still be financially solvent. When Harry and Meghan have no money, well, all bets are off, because if they are financially desperate, then you're looking at the second spare book. You're looking at another royal documentary on Netflix. You're looking at Meghan, My Story, which could be a book, a podcast, and a movie. So the first thing to be afraid of is when they are actually broke. And the second thing to be afraid of, and let's hope this is a long time from now, Kinsey, the passing of King Charles.
Oof.
Because I'll tell you for why. A, I really love the guy, and he's a very good king, and I hope he has a long and healthy life. May God bless him. He's a kindly man. But when he passes, the monarch becomes William. Well, this is a guy that the Sussexes detest. Harry's got a chip on his shoulder about his older brother, always have. We know about Meghan and Catherine. I mean, it's a hot war. Forget about that. That's nuclear. So Harry won't have any motivation to respect the royal family, to respect tradition, to behave himself in any way, shape, or form. In fact, Harry will be incentivized to make merry hell for his brother, because he loves Charles. And, you're always a bit afraid of your old man, aren't you? He's the king. He's Harry's father. He's a big personality. But it won't be that dynamic when William is king.
Right. And there's something that I think Harry is special as the king's son who was trying to work his way back. There is something that's still redeemable about him in that role. But as the wayward brother who terrorized William's wife, throughout a cancer battle, the King William's wife throughout a cancer battle, I don't think you're as special. I think you fall into the role of villain, whether you want to or not.
Right. I mean, this is it. Harry's on his best behavior because he's got to keep the king happy to get back in. Meghan's on her best behavior. Oh, King Charles, it's so nice to see you, my husband.
Wait, do we think that she curtsied for the king and Camilla?
Or are you
think
kidding?
That she avoided it.
She did everything. Are you kidding? Because this is a project now, which is to get back into the royal fold. So Meghan's not stupid. Yeah. But this is it. By the way, now what was this about terrorizing? Harry terrorizing Catherine during, because we obviously, the Sussexes are watching this show like 24/7.
Yeah, so I will clarify.
They would disagree with what you said there. They would say that was not true. Do you care to elaborate?
I will elaborate. A few, in my opinion, allegedly, for the attorneys watching, a few weeks before Catherine announced that she was going to disappear for a little while because she needed to have lower abdominal surgery, Omid Scobie released Endgame. And in the Dutch version, Omid Scobie claimed that King Charles and Catherine were the royal racists. So in the weeks leading up to Catherine's first surgery, all of the headlines were about this Dutch version of Endgame that claimed that Catherine and King Charles were the royal racists. And so it was already such a stressful and delicate time for the Wales family. There, you don't just go into surgery. Weeks and multiple meetings lead up to a surgery where they decide to cut you open and, investigate what's going on and hopefully heal you, which, then we discover she has cancer. And for in almost the entirety of 2024, she's out of commission. But in the weeks leading up to her lower abdominal announcement, Omid Scobie released Endgame, and in the Dutch version, he claimed that King Charles and the Princess of Wales were the royal racists. And Omid Scobie, Meghan later having to admit in a court of law when she pursued the Daily Mail that she forgot that she was one of Omid Scobie's greatest sources for his original book, Finding Freedom. So we know that they had an established relationship and communicated with Omid Scobie. He was one of the last reporters to work with them during Megxit and their official exit.
Indeed. Well, it's very clear that the Sussexes would robustly deny those allegations about terrorizing Catherine during her cancer battle. But let me tell you that we're entitled to look at books like Omid Scobie's, people adjacent to the Sussexes. We do the same thing with People magazine, which is why we're entitled to raise an eyebrow when just 2 days after the Highgrove House summit, People magazine are reporting that Meghan was very sad and disappointed about how that reunion played out. I mean, are they mind readers over at People magazine? Are they clairvoyants? You tell me.
I'd say that they probably had a really, really, really good source whose name rhymes with Meghan Markle, allegedly.
So it's very interesting to wrap this conversation up and see where we are with the marriage. And talked about the power balance. We talked about the royal return. We know where William is on this one. He's so unhappy, incandescent with rage. There's no way back for those two as brothers. What about Harry and Meghan just on a day-to-day basis? Do you think they love each other?
I think that Harry loves Meghan because he has alienated everyone else around him, and he's limited as to who. I've said for several years now.
He has to love her, basically.
It's us against the world. It's us against the world. And when you're in that position and you've alienated everyone around you, I think he loves those dogs we got a glimpse of because, I bet those dogs light up more than Meghan Markle does when he walks into a room. But I've always thought that Harry loved Meghan more than Meghan loved Harry. Meghan sees Harry as an opportunity, in my opinion. And you made a great observation that right now he's more important to her than he might have been last year around this time when we had multiple seasons of a TV drop with a Christmas special. And we had a brand new brand as ever with brand new products selling out constantly. We had a podcast that was released. What's Meghan done in 2026? Not a damn lot. I mean, she hasn't accomplished very much this year, hasn't created anything new. She's slapping her name on movies as an executive producer because she tossed some money at it and she's taking full credit for it so she can have her picture taken. So I agree with you that right now Harry is conveniently, more important to her than he might have been a year ago.
Yeah, and they don't appear together much in public. Why is that?
Why is that? I thought we heard a lot about the idea of a professional divorce a few years ago. Why don't they? I don't think that Harry wants to watch the Cookie Queens movie as much as Meghan Markle is clearly capable of watching it. I don't think that he wants to sit through this movie about 10-year-old girls every few days while Meghan Markle is, so she can get her picture taken.
That's interesting.
But I have noticed that too. I mean, in the UK, they would have said it was because of safety. Here, it's because I just don't think that's what Harry wants to do with his time.
He drives for 2.5 hours to have sushi on his own with his friends. He went to the Time magazine sport athlete thing on his own. He was on his own in New York. It seems odd, although I did mention that it was Harry that filmed the birthday self-celebration. And that's interesting because it casts Harry as the help, as the spare in his own marriage. He's just there to hold the camera for her. That's a flex. That's a power move, characteristic of people with a narcissistic personality disorder, which in my opinion, Meghan demonstrates elements of. And then, of course, he popped up on Australian TV for MasterChef. Why do you think that happened?
Well, for MasterChef would have made a lot more sense for Meghan and Harry and the As Ever brand if it made, if she could have used any of her own products there, or like, I want to say, like, what a clever brand collaboration, because Meghan sells products, but they're not available in Australia. It made absolutely no sense. And for MasterChef Australia, Harry's only role was to justify Meghan's presence there. Meghan really didn't belong there. There was no reason to have Meghan there.
Right.
And the interest was around Harry. So they had to create that moment where they included Harry. But Meghan was pursuing these types of things. She did Chopped in 2016. There's a great video of her in 2016 with Matt Lauer on the Today Show, where she is genuinely adorable. This is before she becomes the beast that we know today. And she's teaching Matt Lauer how to cook something. Meghan is making her dreams come true today, while Harry is rudderless. And I don't know what Harry wants to do with his life, but being the supporting character and making Meghan's dreams come true seems to be one of his only assignments lately.
Well, I think it's so interesting. And I think this conversation has come full circle. And I think all roads lead back to the idea that really they're both failing. Everything both of them touches, together and separately, is turning to mud. They both generate bad headlines, negative publicity, and human misery. I can attest to that, having had a week in the firing line at the hands of the relentless and ruthless Sussex public relations machine, which never sleeps. Look at the misery that Harry brought on his own family. Look at the misery that Meghan has brought on her father and her half-siblings and former colleagues. Look at the misery that Harry wreaked on respected Daily Mail journalists like Katie Nichols and Charlotte Griffiths, who had to prove their integrity in the highest court in the land. So the couple are failing. The couple are, basically spilling out misery everywhere they go. So they're as bad as each other, which is why they need each other.
Oh, you said that perfectly. You hurt so many people. Transactional, again, like, it's just the perfect way of putting this relationship. Even in their own relationship, they're transactional, or maybe she's transactional. But you've hurt so many people and you burned so many bridges, and all you have left is each other. And that's not very romantic, but that might be the reality that we're dealing with.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. It's a little bit like the cult, and you're running out of people. They've managed to escape the compound. And now all you've got is the guy that thinks he's Jesus Christ and some lonely housewife who's stuck with him. So I think that is a big concern. Before I let you go, I did notice one other thing, because you and I've got to say, are elite level journalists and broadcasters. You have the brain the size of a planet. You're stunningly beautiful and you're very wise. I have a Tesla brain, not just a current Tesla brain. I'm talking a Tesla 10 years from now, which is the 2036 model. Wise judgment and a swimmer's build. And I want to say, I've noticed one other thing, which is Archie and Lily are not in this birthday video, and they're not in the birthday photographs. That is, I believe, significant, because they've been in all of the family stuff. And I want to know why they're so notable in their absence. Have they been watching the Mark Dolan show? And my criticism of using Archie and Lily for clicks. Why weren't the kids featured in this latest Instagram drop?
Yes, they're always watching the Mark Dolan show. And
I will say Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered as well.
Thank you. But I feel like Meghan was really feeling herself yesterday and wanted all eyes on her. She didn't want, remember how cute Prince Louis was over the weekend? All my favorite headlines about Prince William and his family in Scotland were about Prince Louis. Meghan Markle didn't want the headlines to be Lily steals the show on Meg's birthday. Don't worry, Meghan. Princess Eugenie actually stole it with the announcement of the birth of her child. But I don't think she wanted to share the spotlight that day.
That's very interesting and very damning. Last but not least, the bum is back.
The bum is so back.
I'm done with the bum. Enough bum. I've reached
out.
So we should explain what we're talking about here, because Meghan Markle issued an X-rated photograph of herself in a Princess Diana style swimsuit for the photo drop of their magical summer. We don't know where. Might have been Portugal, could have been California, who knows? But the bottom line is that she's wearing this very tight swimsuit and it's back for the birthday drop. So the bum seems to be a big part of the brand now.
And I think that we said the last time we discussed the bum that it felt like she was trying to hijack, skin the body of Princess Diana, and wear it. And doesn't that feel like what we saw with the birthday post too? You know, Diana on the diving board is one of the last iconic shots we have of her the summer that she dies. And there's Meghan on the diving board. And I do think she's trying to say to Harry, look, I'm just like your mom. Look at how fun I am. I'm just like your mom. But that was Diana at 36. I feel very confident in saying Diana at 45 would be a completely different woman, not hamming it up for the paparazzi to distract from Prince Charles throwing a party for his girlfriend Camilla Parker Bowles that summer. You know, Diana at 45, I'm hoping would have matured and evolved and wouldn't still be doing the things that we see Meghan Markle do to try to attract headlines at 45.
Well, most definitely. And of course, it's my view and my interpretation that what we're seeing with the bathing suit, the callback to those holidays with the boys in the 80s, it's what I'm calling Project Diana. And it's to bring Diana into the Sussex brand. We've seen Harry and Meghan do that with Archie and Lily, and I think Diana is next.
No, absolutely, especially if we believe reports that they could be doing a 30th anniversary of her death documentary, then starting that step as early as now would make sense.
Yeah, it would. I've got to tell you, I've just been doing some fact checking on Meghan's age, and she is 100% definitively 45.
Okay.
The only thing I will say, which is confusing, is that she did witness the assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November the 22nd, 1963. I don't know how she did that.
No, it's part of her origin story. Just like poor Rodney King is like, why do you keep bringing me up? Leave me alone.
She took a short vacation to Dallas. She saw the whole thing. What are you going to do?
Yeah, well, all we can do is keep her in our thoughts.
What can I say, Kinsey? The most brilliant conversation, the most brilliant show is Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Please check it out. Please like and subscribe her brilliant show. Please do the same for us. Let us know what you think in the comments. I'm really fascinated by whether you think that the nightmare scenario could happen, that Harry and Meghan, may God help us, stay together forever. I mean, OMG. And what is going on? Who holds the cards in that relationship? Where is the power balance? What is the strategy? Kinsey, I forgot to mention one thing. I didn't like the treatment of the dogs.
Oh, yeah. Leave the dogs alone. They don't want to wear that dumb hat.
Well, they were trying to put paper hats on a dog. Is that not animal abuse?
I wouldn't. Well, with the Sussexes watching, religiously combing through this footage, I would say it just... I've always felt, since Meghan abandoned her rescue dog in Canada to move to London and be with Prince Harry, I've always felt that Meghan used her rescue animals as props to be like, look at what a great human I am. I rescue animals.
Yikes.
And watching that video of her using her dogs again as props basically confirmed that to me.
Kinsey, We love having you on the show. You're a rock star, a genius, a legend. You also have a swimmer's build. Congratulations.
You're crazy. I love you. Thank you.
Muscle mass around your shoulders. And I'm excited to say that the Mark Dolan show is headed to the United States. What are the chances of you and I hitting a US diner and doing a special edition of the show live from California?
I'm happy to do that.
Can't wait. I'll pay for the milkshakes. My thanks to Kinsey Schofield.